All right, let's talk about first impressions. Not the kind with a handshake, but the digital kind. Today, we are diving deep into a technique called banner grabbing, and we're going to find out how that very first digital hello can tell you a whole lot, or, lead you completely down the wrong path.
So let's just start with this question, right? Just to set the scene. What if a server's welcome message, that little piece of text that pops up and says, hey, I'm an Apache web server, what if it was lying to you on purpose? That right there, that's the core puzzle we're going to unpack.
So, first things first, what are we even talking about here? The best way to think about it is like a digital handshake. It's that very first moment of contact when one system reaches out to another across a network.
Okay, let's get technical for just a second. Banner grabbing is the technique you use to figure out what kind of software and services are running on some computer out there. When you connect to one of its open ports, the service often sends back what's called a banner, basically just a text response with details, like the software's name and its version.
Here's a super simple way to picture it. Imagine you walk into a big office building. You go up to the receptionist and you ask, hey, who's on the 5th floor? And you get a quick, straight answer. That, in a nutshell, is what banner grabbing is supposed to be. A fast, easy way to get some basic info.
But, and this is a big but, here's where things get really interesting. That simple little handshake isn't always telling you the truth. This technique is a classic double-edged sword. It holds both this incredible promise and, well, some pretty significant peril.
On the one hand, the promise is awesome, right? You get quick, easy intelligence about a remote system. But on the other side, the peril is that this information could be totally and completely wrong. System admins can and do change these banners to be deceptive, maybe to hide some vulnerabilities or even to lay traps for attackers.
And this really gets to the heart of the problem. It's so tempting to just keep probing, right? You think, if I just gather more data, I'll figure it out. But as our source material says so well, more probes don't automatically create more truth. Most of the time, they just create a huge mess of notes that you have to clean up later. It's about quality over quantity, for sure.
Okay, so if we can't just blindly trust a banner, what do we do? The answer isn't to just give up on it. It's to be smarter, to be more skeptical. We need a solid framework, like a confidence checklist we can run through in our heads to decide just how much we should trust that initial digital handshake.
So here's a quick way to do it. First, acknowledge the source. Is this some super critical, public-facing server? If it is, the chances of that banner being fake go way up. Second, assess the context. Does the banner you see fit with other things you know? And third, can you corroborate it? Can you use a totally different tool or technique to prove what that banner is telling you?
Now, to make this even more practical, let's boil that checklist down into a simple little tool. Just think of it like a mental decision card that you can pull out every time you get a banner response.
And what's so cool here is seeing it broken down. Look at the high-confidence example. It's an internal server, a standard service, and it matches other records you have. In that situation, yeah, you can probably trust the lot. But now, let's flip that. Contrast it with the low-confidence scenario. Some unknown service on a weird, random port on a public server with zero other data to back it up. In that case, you should trust a little. See? It's all about context.
And this all brings us to a really crucial point about your whole methodology. The best approach isn't always the most exciting or chaotic one. In fact, it's the disciplined, almost boring approach that's going to save you the most time and get you the best results in the end.
I absolutely love this quote. The right recon order is boring on purpose, and that boredom is what saves time. It's just a fantastic reminder that in this kind of technical work, methodical and predictable will beat clever and improvised almost every single time.
So let's think about this with a concept called the time loss calculator. Now, this isn't a real thing you can buy. It's just an idea. Wasting time isn't about one wrong move. It's about how a bad order of operations, a bad workflow, just multiplies your wasted effort down the line. It's not about having a fancier tool. It's about having a smarter process.
This lays it out perfectly. You've got two paths you can go down. On one side, there's the chaotic approach. You're just probing stuff randomly, you see a weird banner and you immediately chase it down a rabbit hole for an hour. Your notes are a complete mess. That's a huge time loss. Now look at the other side, the boring order. Methodical scans, verifying every banner with your checklist, structured documentation. That is low time loss. It's simple, it's effective, and frankly, it's professional. So after all of this, what's the one big thing you should walk away with? It really comes down to a fundamental shift in your mindset. It's about taking banner grabbing from being just another simple tool in your toolkit and turning it into a real disciplined skill. And here it is. This is the most important point of all. Treat it as a lab skill, not as permission to improvise. Think about it.
When you're in a lab, you're careful, you're methodical, you control the variables, you document everything. That is exactly how you should be approaching this.
The goal here isn't just to know the command to grab a banner. I mean, anybody can look that up. The real goal is to develop the critical thinking to interpret what you get back, to understand its context, and to apply that knowledge inside a controlled, methodical process. That's the real difference between an amateur and a pro. So we're going to end right back where we started, with that digital first impression. Now that you understand the promise, the peril, and the discipline it takes, how are you going to approach the next one? Are you going to trust it blindly? Or are you going to treat it with the healthy skepticism of a real pro? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.